Hey there, Heather, ho there. It's Jeff Cutter Diver. Welcome you to another Degrassism. Now, I I did the top 10 best Degrassi couples and was thinking of doing the top 10 worst Degrassi couples, but in truth, I couldn't think of 10 bad Degrassi couples. I could only think of 6 off the top of my head. So I decided to do a Reddit post about the top 10 Degrassi worst. Well, I did pull the 6 that I knew were bad couples and then, said, well, who else would be there? Who else did I miss? Because, Reddit only gives you 6 options. Of course, I got flack from that Reddit post saying that you're putting abusive relationships on this thing. And then I did a 180. I'm thinking to myself, you know what? I'm going to change it up. I'm going to make it the top 6. Well, it would be the top 6 most toxic couples in Degrassi history. I would have got probably more feedback if I said most toxic. So I decided to change it up to toxic characters, not the worst couples, in fact. So, of the 6 I had on the poll, there was actually only one suggestion for another one that I missed. And that relationship is going to be, I'm putting it number 3 on the list. So, whoever was number 3 in my poll of 6 will drop to number 4. So, I'm putting the new one in at number 3 on the list. The top 2 are definitely worse, toxic. Anyway, so I had 351 polls, votes in this poll, and 156 was for first place. Sixth place with only 5 votes. Well, sixth place right now, number 7 on the list, if I do the number fingers right. Yeah, number 7 with 5 votes out of it was Maya and Sig. I put them in the poll for the top 10 couples, but because they missed out on the top 10, and knowing how toxic they were, I put them on the bad side of things. But of course, now it's top 7 worst toxic Degrassi couples. And Maya and Sig was toxic. Maya was in the love triangle in season 12 with Sig and Cam, who just came from Kappa's casing to play hockey. Sig was jealous of Cam because Cam was getting close to Maya and wanted Maya to himself. So Sig provoked Cam into a few bad things. Maya didn't help Cam out. She kind of felt guilty, but at the same time, she was still with Sig and all that. The love triangle ended when Sig told Cam that Maya's life would be better if you weren't involved, not knowing that he was going to push Cam into killing himself. Sig could have probably said anything because he was a jealous lover and all that. Of course, as we all know, Cam was in the greenhouse where Eli found him, and Degrassi didn't glorify what happened to him. Either he slashed himself, he could have hung himself, or he could have even drank garden chemicals. He was in the J.T. York Memorial Greenhouse in the first place. And as somebody who knows firsthand about garden chemicals and all that, via working one summer at a garden center and via working the past summer at the Canadian Tire soil compounds with garden soils and all that, I know toxicity is not so great. And the fact of the matter is that, I really hated Maya and Sig. I think Sig was just a jealous person for Maya. Maya probably wanted to be with another guy, but was scared of what Sig would have done to her, which he did to Cam. Sig even told Maya that he ruined Cam, probably, and Maya brushed it off. So Maya got Sig. The problem is that Maya and Sig were not really a super couple and all that. Maya would be with Miles, Sig would be with Zoe, I guess, to try to, like, Sig was probably with Zoe to try to stick it to Maya, and Maya was with Miles to try to stick it to Sig. So that relationship was kind of weird. And the funny thing about those two couples, Maya and Miles, and Sig and Zoe, were alliteration. The double M's and the double Z's. Oof. But the fact of the matter is that I kind of really hated Sig because, Sig only cared about Maya when she was with someone else. And it seemed like when they were together, he didn't really care about her. I called Sig Veronica via the Archie comics because Veronica seems to only want Archie only because Betty wants him and is in competition. And in one major story was that Betty would dump off Archie and want Veronica to date Archie. But Veronica doesn't date Archie Instead, she just doesn't feel that way and thinks she could do better. So Betty and Archie date in secret, but Veronica finds out because Betty couldn't stay sneaky. Anyhow, that's the thing. Yeah, I think they were toxic. Like, but at the end of um, next class, they were decent in each other. I think Sage just couldn't do it with the relationship with Esme because Esme was going through some stuff. All right, so number 6 with 19 votes was Jenna and Casey. Now, it was a decent relationship. Jenna stole Casey from underneath Claire's clutches in season 9, which robbed us of a um, Claire and Casey thing because, Claire was trying to reform Casey. Claire was the good girl, Casey was the bad boy. It was almost going to be Emma and Sean from season 1 all over again. But the fact of the matter is that, you know, Jenna was with Casey. She wanted Casey, and Casey wanted Jenna. I should have said about Connor and Claire pairing, but that wasn't going to work. So anyway, Jenna and Casey were there. Casey gets Jenna pregnant. Jenna announces her pregnancy on a teen reality singing competition because, Marisol told her to do so. Or was it Shantae? I think it was Shantae. But anyway, or Marisol. But the fact of the matter is that, Casey was upset because, Jenna had just announced that she's pregnant and, Casey hadn't told his mom. And now Casey had to come up with his mom that he got Jenna pregnant. Fortunately for Jenna, Casey and his mom were offering to help and all that, but then Casey decides to sneak off with Marisol, tells Jenna, "You told me to play basketball." And a lot of people were like, "Why would Marisol be involved with Casey if Casey's with Jenna?" But the fact of the matter is, Casey was lamenting his problems and all that to Marisol, and Marisol took it as saying that Casey doesn't want to be with Jenna. So of course Casey is a jerk in a sense with Jenna. But the simple fact is that, they were toxic. Like Casey had his behavior problems. Jenna had her problems with her family not really being there for her pregnancy and all that. They do have the kid, they have baby Ty, but unfortunately, an incident with a change table meant that they were reported to Children's Services and they decided to give up the baby because, they were only together for Ty's benefit. All right, so number five with 38 votes was Emma and Peter. Now, the simple fact is that, I could instantly switch number 5 and number 4. But I guess I could. You know what? Yeah, screw it. I'm going to switch around. I'm going to put Drew and Becky at number 5 on this because I don't think Drew and Becky were more toxic than Emma and Peter. But the simple fact is that, Drew and Becky are number 5 on the list. They were at season 14 with each other. And it was shocking because Drew had bad relationships. He wanted to be with Bianca. Bianca went to school and then broke up with Drew over Thanksgiving. I don't know I think it was Canadian Thanksgiving, though, too. Because remember, Canadian Thanksgiving's in October, American Thanksgiving's in November. But yeah, Drew was upset and all that. Drew had a lot of personal problems that he had to deal with. A concussion. He was in his own mind. His mom being a dick sometimes. Yeah, and Drew had dealing with Adam's death in season 13 was just shocking how Adam was killed off by Degrassi. And then for some strange reason, Drew's, big idea was to get Becky, was to be with Becky. It was like, why would Drew and Becky want to be together? It just doesn't make sense. Like Drew's dating Becky, who actually was romantically linked with Adam in the first place. I guess he wanted to come close to Becky and all that. Like some kind of survivor's guilt or something. I don't know. But anyway, yeah, it was weird. Actually, that relationship kind of broke off when Drew wanted to be with Becky, but Drew got a message in the middle of meeting Becky's grandmother that Claire's pregnancy thing. Although Drew was not proven to be the father of Claire's baby, well, who she lost, she miscarried. The fact of the matter was that Drew and Becky were over. And Drew made that proposal to Becky, wanting to be with her for some strange reason. Still, Becky blew off the proposal, but that still was not enough for Pill to overreact and tell Drew that we have no affection policy. You're not going to prom. Drew was going to steadfastly obey that thing. So he obeys it. But with the fact that Dallas misbooked the prom boat, Audra told Drew to fix the prom, which he does in at the dot. And Pill's not too happy. Pill basically tells Drew, were there any conspirators? No. Well, you're not going to get your diploma. You'll get your diploma somehow, but you're not walking on the stage. And I have to set an example for the other students, for the younger students. What will happen if you cross my path? So Audra is proud of Drew for standing up for himself and all that. Drew does get to walk the stage because the seniors felt bad for Drew and wanted Drew to come up on stage. Pill relents, and then Pill's gone by the time next class happened. But again, a lot of people thought that Degrassi was gone by season 14 and all that. But yeah, Pill was gone from Simpson. And Simpson, I think, only got the job because A, he was not part of Degrassi News. Like, he had no knowledge of Degrassi News. He didn't mishandle it. And B is that, Audra must have said something that it's a mistake to let Pill in because of Pill being so overreactionary. Gee, Audra, I don't know who else would be all over analytical. But anyhow, yeah, Audra didn't have the power that she did, but she would have told her superiors and they could have ruined it. But anyway, yeah. Enough about that. So yeah, number 4 is Emma and Peter. I'm surprised it's not number 1, but I'm going with what's in the poll. So anyway, so Emma in season 5 was lamenting. She didn't have a boy. She liked Peter in the start of the season 5 premiere and says that, I've never had a boy, thought about a boy since Hurricane Sean blew through my emotional trailer park. And it led me to do a Degrassi Unpopular Opinion on what her statement meant. And it could be one of two things. A, that she still was upset with Sean, Sean leaving her to go to Wasaga Beach to deal with his PTSD in the wake of the wreck situation in season 4. Or also that Emma doesn't consider Chris as her boyfriend, even though that Chris was her last real boyfriend before Peter. It's like they don't want Emma and Chris being together. Emma did mistreat Chris. I betcha that she broke up with him, and then after Liberty wanted to be with Chris, Emma basically said, I can't have that, and I'm going to destroy the relationship. But unfortunately, that destroyed her friendship with Manny and Liberty, and logically, led Emma down a dark rabbit hole. But then Emma likes Peter and even greets Peter with, Hi, Peter. I'm Emma, I'm Degrassi, welcome to Emma, or something like that. Kind of a cute line. But the simple fact is that, Emma was wanting to be with Peter. Peter wanted to be with Manny. Manny tells Peter that, Emma should be with you. And then Peter's like, no, that's impossible. So Peter manages to get Manny to drunkenly do a topless video. I'm going to be famous, flashing her breasts. After Manny destroys Peter's camera and can't come up with the $3,000, Peter releases the video to everybody. Manny's shamed. Her family kicks her out of the home. Emma swoops in and takes Manny to her house like Spike and Snake. And, Emma becomes kind of a dick in a sense. The worst part about it is about Emma being with Peter, still having good guys for Peter season 5. She was going to revenge porn Peter or something like that. Get Peter ruined. But she fell in love with Peter. I don't know why. I guess she just wanted control because, the Rick Murray situation ruined her control issues. So unfortunately, she's hiding the fact that she's with Peter. But unfortunately, of massive events such as Snake being kicked out for having an innocent kiss with Fatsalakos, which would have been funny because, Peter's mom was dating Emma's stepdad. But anyway, regardless of that, Emma had taken on more control around the house, and she also had to deal with trying to help Manny lose weight for role. Manny did lose the weight, but Emma kept going with the eating disorder, trying to get control in her life and all that. Finally, Emma blurts out she's with Peter. Manny's upset by it. But fortunately, though, I guess for Emma's sake, she had that panic-induced attack, and she goes to the hospital and beats her eating disorder. And yeah, Peter's with her, and yeah, Manny's there. But the problem was that season 6, Sean came back in the picture. Emma didn't know. She she had feelings for Sean still, even though she was with Peter. One person even said that Emma probably was scared to break off with Peter, knowing what Peter could do to people like Manny. But Emma didn't give a straight answer to the whole Peter situation with Sean. Emma should have said Peter, and then Peter would not have probably gone on to frame Sean for drugs just to save the relationship and all that. Fortunately, Emma found out and blew Peter off and blew off the relationship and all that. And of course, Peter probably cried crocodile tears about Emma. But yeah, it was weird that Emma would go after a guy like Peter. I mean, Emma went back to Sean. Sean left for the army. Emma was high and dry, and then she dates Damien, and then Damien cheats on her with Liberty. But Emma doesn't take it personally because, it ruined her. The last time she did that, it ruined her and almost led her to die by Rick's gun. So anyway, remember when I said that there was somebody not in the poll that I was going to sneak in at number 3? Well, this is it. I'm not too surprised I didn't put this person in, but the 6 couples I put in the poll were toxic. But number 3, I guess, in my personal opinion, is the whole Eli and Claire situation. So yeah, Eli and Claire are number 3 for me. The simple fact was that, Claire had boy issues, and then she fell in love with Eli, brooding over him, even though he had a hearse, and was lamenting about his dead girlfriend, Julia. But yet, Claire felt under Eli's mysterious glare and would try to wow Eli and all that. Eli crashed his hearse to get Claire to visit him in the hospital, but Claire realizes that it was a trick, so she leaves Eli high and dry. I think she then goes with Jake and all that, but then unfortunately she can't be with Jake because Jake's dad marries Claire's mom, which meant they were step siblings. I think Claire just wanted to be loved and all that because her parents divorced. She seemed to not want none of her parents want her around at the time, but Claire's mom lamented. But the simple fact was that it was weird. Eli would do stuff. Claire would blast at Eli saying, "Did you flip a switch and forget me from your memory? The 3 months mean nothing." And, Claire being a drama queen and all that. Eli and Claire were a decent couple and all that. One of the best, I think. But the simple fact was that, things happen. And Eli did impregnate Claire, and then they lost the baby and all that. But Eli was over in New York studying. He was a year ahead of Claire. But, Claire and Eli were probably going to get back together. All right, so number 2 in the poll with 71 votes was Paige and Olander season 4. So about the toxic couples. So yeah, so Paige in season 4 really had a bad year. I think that Paige's season 4 was kind of the worst season for a character not named Emma, because Emma's character got ripped apart by her actions. But yeah, Paige, you gotta remember, season 4 was not good for Paige and men. In season 4, she was Spinner, and then she had to testify against Dean because the rape trial was going ahead as scheduled. And she does give good testimony, and unfortunately, because of lack of evidence, Dean is let off the hook. Even Dean's lawyer looked shocked. But of course, Dean's lawyer had to defend Dean. I think she had no choice. But the simple fact is that, Paige crashes Spinner's car into Dean's car and all that, and has to work off the debt, and then gets canned from her movie job because of Spinner being a dick. And well, a lot of people said Spinner's a dick for waving his car in front of Paige and all that. Spinner had the right to get mad, but Spinner basically was a gigantic jerk. And that's not mentioned the Rick Murray situation. Not just about Rick, but because the relationship with Paige. Paige should have just basically told Spinner, "I'm not paying for your car anymore." And all that, you can't hold that against me. Spinner probably would have been upset. But the fact of the matter for Paige is that, she had to work to try to get Spinner's car back for the repairs and all that. But the simple fact is that, a lot of things happened for real. So anyways, Spinner aside, and then, Rick coming back to Degrassi, she had problems with that situation. And then, after Rick dies and all that, Paige ends up wanting to be around her yoga instructor, Mr. Olander. She's happy with him. The only problem is Olander is a student teacher at the school, which meant that, as a teacher, it's a no-no to date your own teacher. But Paige goes ahead with it, saying that, it's a good relationship. Unfortunately, though, it gets found out by Simpson, who tells Hatzelackles, and then they have some kind of meeting. Paige basically tries to defend Olander by saying that she'll drop out of her classes and all that, or go to another school. But Hatzelackles tells her, you can't transfer in May because your year is basically shot. Fortunately, Olander does pick up the pieces since that, despite him saying that Paige was stalking him, he realizes everything and tells on himself that, he was the aggressor. He got canned from his teaching job, went up to the Yukon to plant trees, and then broke off with Paige early in season 5. And unfortunately, that led to Paige turning towards Alex. Now, I'm not saying that the Paige-Alex relationship was wrong. I'm just saying that, there was no hint that Paige would turn her back on guys for girls. She could be bisexual. I think she is. She's more bi in a sense because, she wanted to be with Griffin. Paige and Alex. Alex was a decent couple, but had a lot of speed bumps. Paige probably having her class system rule over Alex and all that. But I guess season 4 kind of led Paige to think that men are scum. I mean, after all, Dean got away with rape. Spinner was just a dick towards her overall. Rick coming back to the school and ruining her trust in guys, and Mr. Olander too. So yeah, that was toxic. And number 1 by a long shot. It got more than double the votes of Paige and Olander, 156. And this was obviously going to happen. It was going to be Paige and Terry. Right? Wrong. Rick and Terry. Why did I say Paige and Terry? My fault. I have Paige on the brain. But the simple fact is, yeah, Rick and Terry were terribly toxic and all that. Terry wanted to be with a boy, probably to be around with her friend, her Paige's clique and all that. Paige, had guy things and all that. But Terry finds Rick leaving roses in her locker and, she's spending with him. Unfortunately, Rick becomes less than noble and, gets a little bit jealous. He's jealous of Jimmy being close to Terry. They were doing a drama thing and Rick ended up being Jimmy's assistant. And Rick purposely gives Terry bad tips to try to make Jimmy look bad, but Paige realizes that Rick was the bad guy and was not happy with Rick. Rick shoves Terry against the wall, and the relationship's over. But Paige invites Terry to a road trip with Paige, Spinner, Jimmy, and Hazel, as now they were couples. And Terry's like, I don't have anyone to go with. But Paige says, you're going with someone much better. You're friends. So Terry didn't seem all that convinced. And then, Rick comes back in the picture. Everyone wants to protect Rick from hurting Terry and all that. Rick is emotionally and physically abusing her. Well, of course, the shove in the wall was the physical abuse before that incident. But anywho, so Terry and Rick go walking in the woods. Rick is upset over Paige's problems and, is upset that Terry is falling in Paige's clique and, refuses to make things happen. Like Terry's refusing to speak out against Paige and all that. Like Rick, I understand, was upset that Terry was being, pressured by Paige for everything. I would have thought so too. But the simple fact is that that's false. Rick pushes Terry. She hits her head on the rock, and she's unconscious. Rick has blood on his hands. Runs off from Paige and Spinner. I'm actually surprised that Paige and Spinner found the trail that they were walking on. So, Rick leaves high and dry. Paige is in a coma. Terry's in a coma. Terry's dad is upset over the fact that Paige and Spinner knew about this bad relationship and didn't tell him, although he did lament, saying that, I should not have taken my aggression out on you. Terry, we don't know what happens to her post season 3. She does talk to Ashley in one of the last episodes of season 3, but simply put, Terry was off the show. And the executives wanted Christina McGregor off the show. No, Christina Schmidt. What am I thinking? Christina Schmidt off the show. And it was like stupid. Like the executives stupidly did that. They didn't have things for Terry. Like, good grief. Was it because of her size, being a plus size model? And of course, as I say in a lot of videos, Christina Schmidt actually shares an something with me because Christina and myself went to the same high school, Waterloo, Oxford, Dexter Secondary School in Baden, Ontario, Canada. Must say Canada because there's a lot of Redditors that are American. So anyway, yeah, but yeah, I don't think she knew me at all. So, and it does show my age, of course, too. But the simple fact is that, Degrassi was just, Degrassi. And, Terry doesn't get much mention, even in season 4, like the whole storyline, she doesn't get much talking about. Yeah, everyone was upset with Rick coming back to Degrassi in season 4 to get an education, even though, well, they thought he was expelled, but he was pulled out of school by his parents. But Rick cried crocodile tears about everything. And, they're upset with Radich and the school administration letting him back in the school. I wonder if Radich had a choice. I doubt he did. But, the whole Rick Terry situation boiled over in season 4. Everyone wanted Rick to leave Degrassi. Don't think they wanted to hurt him. I think they just wanted him to move schools, and then that's the end of that. Emma had to join in and all that for many reasons. Emma joined in trying to be the crusader she was and help domestic violence, probably to boost her own ego. She had no friends, so she got into Paige's clique to try to make friends and stick it to Manny and Libby for dumping her off, although it was Emma's fault. And probably as a way to get back at Radich for saying her crusades are stupid, which triggers Emma and Radich. My God, why did you do that? Yeah, Rick and Terry were terribly poisoned for each other. Like, I understand why Rick thought that Terry was should have gotten out of Paige's shadow. I do. Like, I would have understood that too. But, it just wasn't meant to be. And Rick screwed himself over. And, did he deserve to die? No. He deserved to get help. He deserved better, in a sense. But the simple fact is, when you bring a gun to the school, you can't get any sympathy at all. Like, maybe if you did the Chloe Tanner thing from Degrassi High and take your own life in the school, maybe you get some sympathy, but not a whole lot. I doubt that highly. Like, Rick could have easily done nothing about the situation and won out. That's all there was to it. So anyway, thanks for watching.